hummingbirds are extremely popular birds due to their relatively close proximity to humans, and thanks to backyard bird feeder setups. There's so much mystery surrounding these birds, and most people don't know that there are hundreds of hummingbird species around the world. Let's dive into the complex world of hummingbirds, and you'll be surprised at what you find out. So as always, we're going to start with some of the basics. Hummingbirds fall into the order Apodiforms, and this includes birds such as, of course, hummingbirds, nightjars, and swifts. There's over 450 bird species in the Apodiforms order, making it the second largest order in the bird world behind passerines, which includes basically all of your other small birds. Now, the family that will be discussed today, of course, is known as Trochilidae, which is the family of hummingbirds. Within the family of Trochilidae, there are 112 genera, this is the genus of the bird, and 363 species of hummingbird. Hummingbirds can be found throughout North America, all the way down to South America, but nowhere else outside of the Americas in the world. So they really are limited to the Western Hemisphere. In this video, I'm going to discuss some of the strangest hummingbird species, their odd behaviors, and why hummingbirds are so successful throughout the world. So let's jump into it. So what makes a hummingbird a hummingbird? Well, for starters, they don't fly like any other birds. Their wings do a figure 8 motion instead of flapping just up and down. This allows them to hover in place, to go backwards, to move forwards, to go up, to go down, and they can even go side to side or upside down if they really wanted to. Hummingbirds have extremely fast metabolisms compared to most other living things. In fact, they have the fastest metabolism of any homeothermic animal on the entire Earth. So to counter this metabolism that's just eating away at all times and making them zip around and everything, they have to eat every 10 to 15 minutes to satisfy themselves. They also have an extremely small size and are among the smallest birds in the world. Hummingbirds live in a variety of different habitats, and they've successfully expanded across nearly every habitat in the Americas. These habitats include deserts and mountains, as well as tropical rainforests, and in some cases they even live right next to glaciers and snowy peaks. So they've really traversed almost every single niche in the Americas. Hummingbirds are most obviously known for their ability to consume nectar, and this is why most of them have developed these really long, thin bills that are very unique compared to most other bird species out there. 90% of a hummingbird's diet is nectar. The other 10% are insects or spiders. And so you have this bird that's very well adapted to a specific niche. It eats nectar from flowers and obviously feeders now, but then also can dabble in eating insects. In breeding, hummingbirds are known as something called polygynous, and this means that the males will mate with multiple females. Hummingbirds also have various methods of attracting a mate, including lekking. This basically just means that they find a patch of flowers that they really like, and they'll defend and show off in front of that patch for the females. The other thing that hummingbirds will do is a cool display. Certain species will shoot high up into the air, making these zipping noises as they go, and then nosedive straight to the ground. This is obviously to show off for the females and try to attract a mate. Their nests are pretty small, and they're typically built all by the females, and the parental care is also all by the females. Their nests are typically an open cup on a branch, but other species will build cylinder dome nests, or other species will have a dangling nest hung on by spider webs. And then lastly, some hummingbird species will even nest on cliffs. So there's a wide range of diversity in how hummingbirds are able to build up their nests and have their young. Most hummingbird species will lay about 2 eggs, and the young are fed and cared for about 3 weeks before fledging and starting their own lives. 79.1% of hummingbird species are actually doing pretty well, but over 15% of hummingbird species are threatened in the world. In the last century and a half, we've actually lost 2 species, the chlorostilbon and the turquoise-throated puffleg. And that turquoise-throated puffleg might still be out there, but it hasn't been seen since 1976. The next most threatened hummingbird is the Juan Fernandez firecrown because it lives on a small island, and we know that island birds are typically the first birds to be threatened and the first birds to go extinct on average, just because they have a smaller niche. And if that gets threatened or altered, then those birds typically don't do well. And this bird's going extinct because of habitat degradation and the introduction of invasive mammals to the area. But let's get into everyone's favorite part of these videos, the notable species of hummingbirds. The largest genus of hummingbirds is known as Phaeothornis, and this includes the hermits, which all look really similar, at least in my opinion. They all have kind of like that supercilium like stripe above their eye, and it'd be really difficult if they're all compacted in the same area to tell each of these birds apart from one another. And like I mentioned before, the majority of hummingbirds don't really reside in North America. They're more of a Central South America species, and they typically thrive there. That's where the largest diversity of these birds are. North America only sees a very small fraction of these birds. But since my audience is largely based in the United States and Canada, I do want to talk about a few North American species. And the first one I want to talk about is the ruby-throated hummingbird. It's the only species that resides in eastern North America. It's in the genus Archilochus, which also shares the same genus with the black-chinned hummingbird, which resides in western North America. Another genus that resides mostly in the southwestern United States, obviously dropping down more south into Mexico and some of those southern countries, is the genus Calypte. And this includes Anna's hummingbirds and Costa's hummingbirds as well. North America also has 3 species from the genus Celisphorus, and that's the Calliope hummingbird, the Rufous hummingbird, and the Allen's hummingbird. All of these reside in the western part of North America. But let's get into some oddballs in the family Trochilidae. The first is in a genus all its own, and it's known as the Peruvian sheartail. This hummingbird resides in western Peru and actually likes to live in the desert, which is right next to the coast. The females don't have that fantastical long tail that you see on the male, but these birds are quite the sight if you run into them. Next on my list is the sword-billed hummingbird. My friend Caleb actually took this photo, so go follow him over on Instagram. I'll link it in the description below. But these birds are also in a genus all their own, and they live in Andean South America. They develop these super long beaks for a specific flower that has a super long tube. So this bird is a bird that relies on being able to extract the nectar from a specific group of flowers. Next on my list of hummingbirds is in the genus Laphornis, and actually it's basically the entire genus of Laphornis. There are 11 species, and they're known as coquettes. They have fantastic crowns on top of their heads, and this makes them super unique against most other hummingbird species. Most hummingbirds have the beard, they have the gorget, but to have a crown on top of its head as well, that's just an upgrade that really no hummingbird needs. They're already incredible to look at. They can be found in different tropical parts of South America. Next up on my list is the giant hummingbird, and it's all alone in the genus Patagona. This is the largest species of hummingbird and flies a lot more like a swallow than other hummingbirds. Its wing movements look way slow compared to other hummingbirds, so it might be easy to be like, oh, that's not a hummingbird. It can be found in western South America, and it's actually pretty dang big. It's around 22 centimeters long, or 8.6 inches. So this hummingbird's like this big. That's absolutely incredible. Most of the hummingbirds I've seen, the bigger ones at least, are around 3 to 4 inches. So this bird is actually double the size of most hummingbirds. And since we did the largest hummingbird on Earth, might as well dive into the smallest hummingbird on Earth, and that's the bee hummingbird. It's actually the smallest bird on Earth. It only weighs 2 grams, and it's only 6 centimeters or 2.4 inches big, about this big, making it the smallest warm-blooded animal on the entire planet. This bird's native to Cuba, which means a lot of people don't get to see it, but it feeds primarily on nectar, insects, and arachnids. Just some fun facts about hummingbirds is there's over 8,000 plants in North and South America that actually rely on hummingbirds for pollination. We've all heard about bees being the primary pollinators on the planet, and it's really just because there's so many bees by the numbers, but hummingbirds are actually way more efficient pollinators than bees. They don't eat the pollen, first of all, and they also go to a lot of different species of flowers, making them very efficient. In fact, a study in 2022 found that hummingbirds are considered way more efficient pollinators than bees for certain plant species. Hummingbirds' metabolism is so fast that they wouldn't survive the night if it wasn't for something called torpor. Torpor lowers their heart rate from 1,200 beats per minute to 50 beats per minute. This slows down their metabolism and allows them to sleep instead of just fading away into nothingness. Hummingbirds have no real sense of smell, but they have really good eyesight. So you'll recognize that most hummingbird feeders are the color red or orange, and that's because hummingbirds are really drawn to those colors. They're easy to see over long distances. They really like those red or orange flowers as well. Hummingbirds actually lay the smallest eggs of any bird on average, and it's typically the size of a blueberry, so very, very tiny eggs. A group of hummingbirds is actually known as a bouquet, a glittering, or a shimmer, which is absolutely incredible and is some knowledge you should definitely throw around at parties. So there you have it, one of the most iconic bird families in the entire world, hummingbirds, and most people don't know that they're just scratching the surface when they're feeding the hummingbirds in their backyard. Now, I've seen about a dozen or so hummingbird species, maybe a little bit more than that. I haven't really left the United States at this point, but my favorite that I've seen has got to be the broad-billed hummingbird. It looks absolutely incredible. It has a bright orange bill and just a shimmery greenish blue body, at least the males do. If you want to check out that video, it actually hasn't released yet. You're seeing this footage early. Go check out Bright-Eyed Birding, where I take you on weekly birding adventures once per week to see that encounter that I had with that bird for the first time. The hummingbird that I want to see the most in the world has got to be the sword-billed hummingbird. I think that thing looks absolutely incredible with how long its bill is. But let me know in the comments below, what's your favorite hummingbird? And what's a hummingbird fact that didn't make the list that you'd like to share with everyone else? Let me know. If you'd like to support my channel, links to the merch and my membership program are in the description below. If you join my membership program over on Fourth Wall, which is linked below, you'll get access to both memberships from Bright-Eyed Birding and Bright-Eyed Birding Learn, or you can join here on YouTube if you're not interested in one channel or the other. They are the same price though, so it's up to you. And I really appreciate your support. You guys are the best. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you all next time on Bright-Eyed Birding Learn.